A surprising morning crowd. Mag was taken aback. It seemed his trial sale the previous day had been a success. Customers were already lining up outside his restaurant early in the morning. A smile tugged at his lips as he flipped the closed sign to open and stepped aside to welcome them in. Malbai was the first to enter, chuckling as he looked around. Mag, looks like I'll have to start coming even earlier. At this rate, the line might stretch across the whole square one day, he said with a grin. 2 plates of Yangzhou fried rice for me. Rugiamo seems more suited for those young, hot-blooded types. Mag nodded. Got it. Please have a seat. A man with narrow eyes followed closely behind, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. I'll take a plate of that new dish. What's it called again? He asked as he settled into a chair. Laji Rugiamo. Mag replied with a polite smile, gesturing toward the menu. Thankfully, the system had already updated it with the new dish and its price, saving him the hassle of explaining it repeatedly. The menu itself had undergone another minor change. On its back, 2 golden-lettered rules now stood prominently. A. No yelling in the restaurant. B. Cash only. No credit allowed. Mag had decided to enforce a few ground rules for a more comfortable dining experience. After all, nobody enjoyed being disturbed while eating. And as for cash-only payments, he wasn't running a charity. Every ingredient cost him, and his priority was making a living for himself and Amy. Special cases, like Luna, were exceptions, but everyone else had to pay. Just then, a round-faced man squeezed through the door, his eyes lighting up at the sight of the menu. I'll take a Rugiamo no, make that too. I passed by last night and saw others eating it, and I've been thinking about it ever since. He plopped into a seat with excitement. With the orders taken, Mag turned on his heels and disappeared into the kitchen. The loaves of Baiji bread were already warm and ready in the oven, while the stewed meat had reached peak tenderness. All he had to do was assemble the sandwiches. Amy's unique naming sense. Meanwhile, Amy sat on a high-legged chair near the counter, cradling Ugly Duckling in her arms. Her bright eyes scanned the restaurant before she greeted the customers in her usual manner. Good morning, Dwarf Grandpa Mabai. Mabai, mid-sip of water, nearly choked. He wiped his mouth and let out a chuckle. Morning, little owner. Amy then turned to the other patrons. Good morning, squint-eyed man, and big squint-eyed man. The narrow-eyed man twitched slightly, while the rotund man beside him, his own eyes squinted due to his chubby cheeks, let out a hearty laugh. It was impossible to get mad at Amy. Between Mag's cooking and the little girl's innocent charm, they had no choice but to accept their unique nicknames with a smile. Mabai's gaze shifted to the bundle in Amy's arms. What's that? A cat? He asked curiously. The other customers, too, leaned in with curiosity. Ugly Duckling was unlike any cat they had seen before. Its orange and white fur was fluffy, and its sapphire eyes gleamed with intelligence. Ugly Duckling met their inquisitive gazes and, in an instinctive reaction, bared its tiny teeth and let out a soft growl. Amy, unfazed, gently pressed a hand against its head. No, it's an ugly duckling, she said matter-of-factly. Stop it, Ugly Duckling. Don't scare the customers. Meow. The little creature obediently stopped, nestled itself in Amy's arms, and let out a dramatic yawn before shutting its eyes again, as if unimpressed by the attention. The customers exchanged amused looks. Did they just get ignored by a cat? The realization left them feeling strangely disdained. An ugly duckling, someone murmured in confusion. They had no idea why this undeniably cute kitten was given such an unflattering name, but considering Amy's habit of handing out peculiar nicknames, they figured it was simply its fate. A taste beyond expectation. Mag soon emerged from the kitchen, balancing plates of steaming hot Rugiamos, which he placed in front of the eagerly waiting customers before heading back to prepare the Yangzhou fried rice. Mabai, despite arriving first, was in no rush. He was willing to wait a little longer for a meal this good. The small-eyed man picked up his Rugiamo and inhaled its mouth-watering aroma before taking a bite. The moment he did, an explosion of flavors burst across his taste buds. The rich, savory meat melted in his mouth, its juices seeping into the soft, slightly sweet Baiji bread. A shiver ran down his spine as he swallowed, his body tingling as though something deep within his blood had been awakened. He closed his eyes, unable to suppress a long, contented sigh. Pure bliss spread across his face. The fat man, Harrison, watched him with a mixture of amusement and skepticism. Too easily impressed. Glancing at his own Ruggiero, Harrison shrugged and took a large bite. And then his eyes flew open. The succulent meat, drenched in flavorful gravy, mixed perfectly with the warm, pillowy bread. The depth of taste was beyond anything he had ever experienced. It was as if his very fat was vibrating in excitement. Harrison had enjoyed lavish meals worth hundreds of gold coins in the Roth Empire's capital, feasting on rare delicacies prepared by the finest chefs. But now, compared to this one bite, those so-called gourmet dishes seemed utterly lacking. Those meals had relied too heavily on expensive spices and seasonings, while this was pure, unadulterated perfection. As the magic-infused ingredients coursed through his veins, he felt an unfamiliar warmth spreading through him. His blood pumped faster, his skin tingled, and even his body seemed to react as if waking up from slumber. A sheen of sweat appeared on his brow. Before he knew it, a deep, satisfied groan escaped his lips, much louder than the previous customers. Harrison jolted upright, embarrassed. But his eyes immediately locked on a Mag, who was just returning with a plate of Yangzhou fried rice. "How is this even possible?" he blurted out. "Mag, you're a genius. A dish that burns fat? Mag, your Ruggiero is incredible, and it even helps me lose weight." Harrison's excitement wasn't just from the delicious taste. It was the strange, invigorating sensation that followed. As he swallowed, he felt warmth spreading through his body, his blood surging with newfound energy. His usually sluggish fat seemed to tremble slightly, as though it was being stirred awake. It reminded him of the rare moments when his father forced him to practice swordsmanship. Except this time, there was no exhaustion, only an exhilarating rush. Could it be possible? If something this delicious could help him burn fat, it would be nothing short of a miracle. Every foodie's dream was to enjoy indulgent meals without worrying about their waistline. Yet no such food had ever existed until now. Harrison placed a hand on his belly, feeling the slight quiver beneath his palm. One Ruggiero had the same effect as half an hour of sword training? If that were true, then perhaps eating a few of these every day could help him lose weight without the torturous exercise. The thought made his heart race. He didn't particularly mind his round figure, but he couldn't deny the inconvenience it brought, getting winded after walking a few steps, struggling to fit into chairs, and the stares he often received. If this magical dish could help, even a little, then he needed more. More importantly, he knew plenty of friends who were just as round as him, all of whom shared his love for good food. Initially, he had planned to bring them here in a few days to introduce them to this remarkable restaurant. Now he was thinking sooner. They need to try this. A genius like Mag truly knows how to capture a customer's heart. An unexpected side effect. Mag watched Harrison's expression shift from shock to pure delight as sweat formed on his brow. Even his belly was slightly quivering. He couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. The Ruggiero really seems to have a stronger effect on heavier individuals. Look at that fat shake. If this dish truly helped with weight loss, it could spark a whole new trend. But something wasn't adding up. The system said the frenzy elements in the pork only stimulate blood circulation. Then why does it seem like it's burning fat? Mag wondered aloud. The system responded promptly. Severely obese individuals have compressed veins due to excess fat. The increased blood circulation momentarily forces the body to burn some fat around the veins, causing this effect. However, this is temporary. Once circulation stabilizes, the fat-burning effect diminishes. It has no significant impact on moderate obesity. The true benefit of Lagi Ruggiero is in its ability to stimulate the blood, not weight loss. Mag nodded in understanding. That explained why neither he nor Amy had experienced anything like Harrison. Still, even if the effect was temporary, it wasn't entirely useless. People with severe obesity often suffered from poor blood circulation, This dish might help them feel more energetic and healthier, even if it didn't make them skinny. After considering it, Mag decided to be upfront. Harrison, this effect won't last indefinitely. Once your body stabilizes, it won't help you lose weight anymore. If you truly want to slim down, exercise and proper dieting are still your best options. While the weight loss aspect could have been a strong selling point, Mag didn't want customers to develop false expectations and become disappointed later. Harrison blinked, then glanced at the small-eyed man beside him, who looked refreshed but hadn't reacted nearly as dramatically. Realization dawned on him, and he chuckled. I see. Well, normal is good enough for me. At least it's the first time in years I've felt this awake after eating. I'll take 2 more. Oh, and I'm bringing my friends tomorrow. They're gonna love this. Mag smiled. Sounds good. Please wait a moment. More customers had now taken their first bites, and soon the restaurant was filled with sounds of sheer delight. I'll have another one. Me too. The rich flavors, the perfect blend of crispy bread and succulent meat. It was unlike anything they had ever tasted. Some had only taken 1 bite before already ordering another. Amy, stroking Ugly Duckling's fur, beamed with pride. I knew it. Father's food is the best. A new customer enters. Outside, a large figure stood at the entrance, frowning as he observed the restaurant. A human-owned eatery? Sargeras, a wandering demon, had traveled far and wide, visiting countless cities in search of stronger opponents and richer experiences. But he had never seen a restaurant at this particular corner of Aiden Square before. Had it always been here? Curiosity piqued. He took a step forward, peering through the crystal-clear windows. The sight inside was unexpected. Humans and a dwarf, all happily devouring something wrapped in bread, their faces filled with satisfaction. The food must be good, he thought. For a brief moment, his lava-covered hand reached toward the glass, intrigued by its flawless transparency. But he quickly withdrew it. It looks expensive. I probably shouldn't touch it. Money wasn't something Sargeras had in abundance. Though he was strong, he often took on high-risk quests for gold, planning to save up before resuming his journey toward greater strength. But right now, his stomach demanded attention. Human cuisine is the best in the entire continent, he mused. I might as well see what this place has to offer. Decision made, he pushed open the door and stepped inside. The gentle chime of the doorbell rang through the restaurant. Mag, who had just placed a plate of Yangzhou fried rice in front of Mabai, glanced toward the entrance and froze. A demon. It was his first demon customer.
Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
Sargeras smelled a strong meat aroma as soon as he opened the door. His eyes lit up in an instant. Different from the aroma of grilled meat and boiled meat, it was much stronger and more appetizing. He had no idea what spices and seasonings had been added and how it had been cooked. He swallowed despite himself. He didn't care much about decorations and didn't like it too fancy. This restaurant's decorations were relatively simple, but he froze for a moment when he saw a painting on the wall, in which were the Ghost Islands. It was the first time that he had seen a painting of the Demon Islands in a human-owned restaurant. There were also other paintings on the wall, depicting places like the capital of the Roth Empire and the Elves Wind Forest. He took a look at Mag, who was in his plain black and white clothes. Apparently the owner is a man of the world. But will he let me eat here? Sargeras stopped in his tracks. Mag was looking over Sargeras too. He had seen demons occasionally these days when he went out. Demons came in many different looks. Some demons had a blade of grass on the head, and some demons' heads were burning. They were, in short, the most abnormal beings. Of course, succubi were not included. When he went out to buy sheep milk yesterday, he had seen a good-looking succubus. She had a beautiful voice and was pretty hot. She had been bargaining with a vendor. In only a few words, she had made the vendor sell her a bag of cucumbers, which had been priced at 15 copper coins. At 5 copper coins, and she had got some green onions for free. He had been really impressed. Sargeras was the first demon customer to come to his restaurant. He was very large, even a head taller than Habing brothers. He looked very much like a human, though. His eyes were dark red. Many cracks covered his bald head, face, neck, and hands, and inside the cracks was red lava, making him look like he had tattoos all over his body, looking a little scary. His black outfit was neat and half-worn. The bottom of his leather boots had worn thin. He must have traveled a long way in them. The most conspicuous part was the scarlet cape over his shoulders, which drooped just below his waist, red like fire. Humans who had lived a long time in Chaos City didn't fear demons too much. After all, they could see various species every day, and it was normal for them to have some demon neighbors. Nonetheless, most of the humans didn't like dining with demons or forest trolls. They dared not talk loudly in their presence, so they would feel a little constrained. That was why quite a few human-owned restaurants would make a special section for demons and trolls to eat, or they would simply put up a sign outside of their door, saying, "Demons and trolls are not allowed in the restaurant." As for the restaurants owned by elves, they would make a separate, most comfortable section for elves and wouldn't let dwarves, demons, and trolls in. The customers looked toward Mag. They were all humans except Mabai. They didn't see a special section for demons here, so they were very curious what he would do. Naturally, they didn't want him to eat here. Mag was a human himself, so they supposed he wouldn't let him in. Mag read their minds from their looks. Kick him out? No, he wouldn't do that. He was thinking about getting some treasures from giant dragons someday. Demons were nothing compared to dragons. As long as they ate in his place, they were his customers. He didn't discriminate. I recommend you reject some customers to give most of your clientele a good dining experience, the system said sincerely all of a sudden. Or you can separate the restaurant into different sections and make strong species and weak ones eat in their designated sections, respectively, to avoid conflicts. Then you'll have the mission quantity of getting 1,000 customers? Asked Mag calmly. The mission can't be changed after having been assigned. Take your missions seriously, or you'll trigger a hidden mission again, System replied solemnly. Then why do you make me reject half of my customers? Do you take me for a fool? Mag curled his lip. The System replied with an ellipsis. And you will expand the restaurant for me? Mag asked. System can only use the land you supply, and now that the restaurant is complete, you have no right to expand it currently, the System answered. It's so small, and you want me to make sections. There are 16 tables, so if one species gets one section, do you plan to make me allocate 2 tables to each species and label them elves, demons, humans? System, is this how the god of cookery is supposed to run his restaurant? Mag asked sarcastically. The System fell silent. Seeing that the System didn't reply, Mag said no other word. He wouldn't separate his restaurant into sections and wouldn't reject other species, because of his big dream of eradicating racism. As a half-elf, Amy was being discriminated against now. That was a fact he could not tolerate. A protest parade was not a very practicable method in this world. He decided to start from instilling his idea into his customers, so he looked at the lava demon and smiled. Welcome. Please take a seat. Other customers looked at Mag with surprise. They had thought that he wouldn't let him in. After all, most of the customers that had come here these days were humans. They had never thought that Mag would not only let him in, but it seemed he didn't plan to allocate a special section for demons. That way he could sit wherever he wanted. Maybe he would sit next to them, or even at their table. Thinking of this, some customers became a little nervous. All the species might be under the governance of the Grey Temple, and even normal humans could live in peace here. However, even in a place where there were only humans, there would be conflicts, to say nothing of Chaos City. Humans were generally weak, so it was not very uncommon for humans to be killed by some demon, troll, or orc. Naturally, humans had grudges against them. They took a look at the aromatic Ruggiamo in their hands, and then at Sargeras. After hesitating for a while, they got back to eating Ruggiamo at last. To hell with it. With Ruggiamo this good, I would even dine with a giant dragon at the same table, they thought. Sargeras gave a nod, a little surprised himself. All these years, he had been rejected by many human-owned restaurants, and those that had let him and had put him in a designated area, making him feel like an outsider. He hadn't expected that this skinny human was not afraid of him. His letting him sit wherever he wanted made him feel respected for the first time. He took a look around and seated himself at the corner near the door. No one had sat there before. He hadn't had any breakfast, and the tantalizing meat aroma made him even hungrier. He pointed at the Ruggiamo in one customer's hands as he looked at Mag. Owner, I'd like one of those. His voice was hoarse and dry, as if he hadn't drunk any water in a long time. Mag nodded. Okay. He turned around and walked towards the kitchen. Wow, a big bald head. Amy's eyes brightened as she saw Sargeras. She slipped down the chair, holding the little kitten in her arms, and walked over to his table. Hello, big bald head, I'm Amy. Are you a demon? What kind of demon? You have no hair at all. Are you a bald demon? Amy asked curiously as she looked up at him. Meow. Ugly Duckling also raised its head and looked at Sargeras in Amy's arms. Neither of them showed any fear towards him. Sargeras was taken by surprise. He had never been called a big bald head to his face before. Being a lava demon, he had a short temper, violent like lava. Nobody had dared take him lightly even in the Demon Islands. In this chaos city, normal humans always avoided him. He had never thought that this little girl would have dared call him that. However, when he dropped his angry gaze to Amy, his anger vanished right away. Such a cute little girl. She had silver hair, which had been braided into 2 braids. Her adorable face was exquisite, and she had 2 pointy ears. It seemed she was a half-elf. She was holding a white and orange fluffy animal in her arms. They were standing at his table, looking up at him, their deep blue eyes filled with curiosity and anticipation. He could see from their looks that their questions were not asked out of spite, but out of their innocent curiosity. Once, he would have scared them off with some fireball, but this little girl was so cute he couldn't bear to frighten her into crying. Besides, she should be the owner's daughter. The owner just showed me respect, so I'll just let it go. Still, he gave a scowling look. I'm Sargeras, a strong lava demon warrior, not some bald demon, he said. Amy shrugged. Sar, big bald head. Your name is so difficult to pronounce. Big bald head is much better. I'll remember your name when I see you. Sargeras' eyes were sullen with anger again. He would challenge the other party to a duel, if before him were a man. No, he would give him a pyroblast directly and show him what would happen when he disrespected a lava demon. But looking at Amy's frowning face, he wasn't able to get angry. How could he hurt such a little girl? As a demon, Sargeras had seldom softened his heart or shown sympathy. He had killed a few humans for different reasons these years. Now he could feel anger burning inside him, but he couldn't get it out. After all, the little girl had tried to say his name. He was even wondering if his name was truly a little difficult to remember. Mag walked out, holding a Ruggiamo in his hands. Your Laji Ruggiamo, he said as he handed it to Sargeras. Then he stroked Amy's head, smiling. He had overheard most of their conversation. His little girl was both lovable and irritating. Mag had a vicious tongue himself, so when he watched his customers got irritated by Amy and had to forgive her after they saw her face, he felt really good. It was a vicious pleasure. Sargeras took the Ruggiamo in his hand and diverted his attention from Amy to the Ruggiamo. It was steaming, giving off a pleasant meat aroma. He could see chopped meat inside the white bread. He had been to many places, even the capital of the Roth Empire, but he had never seen a bread like this before. He couldn't help but take a bite. An unprecedentedly delicious taste spread out in his mouth, making him close his eyes in spite of himself. Every taste bud of his was cheering and dancing happily. The taste was so different, totally unlike the meat he had ever had, and the crispy, soft, and sweet bread took the taste to another level. The food was so delicious that it moved him. He was not much of a picky foodie. He often ate his food raw in the Demon Islands. At best, he would cook it on his hand. Then he left to look for a way to become stronger. Subsequently, he was exposed to human food slowly. He found that the food after being cooked had a much better texture and taste. However, it was the first time he had eaten such tasty food. It was on another level entirely, like a little torch that had been turned into lava. Mag took Amy's hand and backed away from him. The meat was from Demon Islands, and according to the system, it should have a strong effect on demons, so they had to take precautions. After Sargeras swallowed, the Ruggiamo slid down his throat like a hot current. Instantly, he felt as if his throat were on fire, and this feeling spread in his blood quickly. His blood seemed to be boiling, rushing in his veins like a galloping horse, surging and splashing. A flame appeared on his body, then another, like flowers blooming above the blood at it novel been at. Oh! Ah! With a shout, he opened his eyes suddenly. Flames rose from all over his body, about a dozen centimeters high. Then the front of his clothes burst wide open. They watched as the cracks in his body widened and the golden red fluid flew inside. It was giving off horrible heat, like the real lava. He burst his clothes? Mag lifted an eyebrow. The look on his face became a little strange. Not only did Sargeras burst his clothes, but his body was also going up in flames. The red lava inside the cracks in his skin had greatly raised the ambient temperature all of a sudden. Mag was a little startled as he looked at Sargeras. What if a succubus ate this Ruggiamo? He didn't want to picture what would happen. He felt the need to add some warnings on the menu. Fortunately, Sargeras' clothes were made of some special material, so they were not affected by the fire. He didn't have to suffer the embarrassment of having no clothes on. Two customers who were just entering were also frightened by this scene. The strong meat aroma made them swallow, but the seemingly raging lava demon sent them closing the door and backing away from the restaurant quietly. What has Mag done to that lava demon? Why is he in combat stance? The two customers walked a few steps, but couldn't tear themselves away from the tantalizing aroma, a little worried and surprised. Lava demons were very powerful even among demons. They had destructive power and could burn down a house with several fireballs. Mag is normally very kind and placid. How did he irritate that demon? If that big thing went on a rampage, he might tear this restaurant apart. They thought. If the owner was powerful or had powerful backup, he wouldn't worry about people making trouble. But Mag and Amy are alone, and they are no match for that powerful demon. They were a little worried that they might not be able to eat such delicious food like Yangzhou fried rice anymore. They had come here early today to try the new dish. The customers in the restaurant knew that Sargeras was only like this because of the Ruggiamo. They felt their blood running hot too after eating the Ruggiamo, but the effect was not very dramatic, and they felt pretty comfortable. However, they had never thought that this demon would react so drastically. He went directly into his combat stance. They were wondering what Mag had put into the Ruggiamo. Sargeras rose to his feet and took several steps back. He didn't want to burn down the table. His blood and the lava over his body were rushing quickly. He felt the barrier that had been constraining him for so many years was finally starting to become loose. His heart was pounding with excitement. He had tried countless ways since his power stopped growing 50 years ago. His footprints had covered more than half of the continent, yet he still hadn't found any solution. He had never thought that a bite of Ruggiamo would make his blood pump and make him feel that he was able to get to another level. He felt sparks were ignited all of a sudden. He felt that if he continued eating, those sparks would slowly turn into big fire, and he would rise from the fire, break through the barrier, and become the first lava demon to have gone to a higher level for 100 years. Then he could carry out the plan he had devised 50 years ago, and that thing under the holy lake could surface again. He became a little excited, while the others were holding their breaths watching Sargeras, wondering if there would be other changes. Amy pointed a finger at the ashes on the ground and said, "Father, he burnt down our chair." Then she lifted her eyes to look at Sargeras, her face full of seriousness. "You have to pay for that, big bald head. You may be a demon, but my temper is very bad. Pay, or I'll set you on fire." Added Novel Benedet. Meow. Ugly Duckling became angry too. It growled at Sargeras, but its voice was a little cute. Sargeras was still immersed in his excitement. He froze for a moment, looked down at the ashes of the chair, and scratched his bald head in embarrassment. He was in a good mood now, so he didn't care if he had to pay for a chair. He restrained the fire, and the ambient temperature dropped a lot, but the golden red lava could still be seen flowing inside the cracks. "I'll pay for it. But owner, I'd like another 10 Ruggiamos," he said with a wave of his hand. Amy nodded. "Remember what you said?" There was a hint of a warning in her eyes. The small-eyed man put down the bag and rose from his table contentedly. "Little owner, can I have the check, please?" he said to Amy as he pulled out his purse. It feels so comfortable after a Ruggiamo in the early morning. The refreshing feeling is just so pleasant. Amy nodded. 1 Ruggiamo, 3 gold coins. The small-eyed man took out 3 gold coins from his purse and put them on Amy's hand. "Here, 3 gold coins." Then he said goodbye to Mag, walked sideways to keep his distance from Sargeras, and walked out. 3. Owner, your bread is 3 gold coins each. Then how much do I owe you for this chair? Sargeras asked as he looked at Mag with his widened eyes. He touched his purse subconsciously. As far as he was concerned, 3 gold coins was not expensive at all for such a powerful bread, but he only had a dozen gold coins in his purse now, so he couldn't afford to buy 10 Rugiamos even if he didn't have to pay for that chair. Other customers looked in their direction, wondering how much he had to pay for such a chair. The restaurant's decoration style made them comfortable. The tables and chairs were simple but not plain, of classic style. Mag nodded, smiling. Yes, Rugiamo is 3 gold coins each. Then he cast a glance at the ashes and asked in his mind, System, how much is this chair? 1 customized chair, 10 gold coins, the system answered slowly. Mag's mouth curled downwards. 10? Are you trying to rip him off? Mag asked. Although the chair is of high quality, the price is a little too high. All the tables and chairs are made from the same tree, which was hundreds of years old and grew in the wind forest. The growth rings and coloration on them are completely identical, making them a real feast to the eyes. Now there are only 5 of these chairs left. You'd better order now while supplies last, the system answered calmly. You use Elves' holy spring to water your rice, and use their hundreds of years old tree to make tables and chairs. You really have little regard for my life, don't you? Mag didn't feel comfortable with the way the system did things. Be that as it might, the system had really gone to great lengths to raise the restaurant style. His restaurant might be the only one in the whole Chaos City to use tables and chairs made from trees in the wind forest. I have everything under control. Don't worry, and don't underestimate me, the system said, a little irritated. Mag paid no mind to the system. He looked at Sargeras and said with a smile, This chair is 10 gold coins. 13. 13 gold coins? Sargeras looked down at the gold coins in his hand. Amy stood on tiptoe and took a look. 13 gold coins, big bald head, she said, nodding. Mag took a look at the gold coins in Sargeras' hands. 13, no more, no less. He said he wanted 10 more. Looks like he doesn't have enough money on him today. Mag wanted to chuckle. The 2 customers outside didn't see anything disturbing happen. They watched a small-eyed man walk out and leave satisfied and relaxed, so they figured it should be all right for them to eat here. They hesitated for a moment and walked inside. Owner, I think 10 gold coins is too much for a wooden chair. I can buy one with 2. I'll give you 4 and buy another 2 Rugiamos with the remaining 6. What do you say? Sargeras raised his voice, looking at Mag with his red eyes. Sargeras always spoke bluntly with males. Now, he was using a much more polite tone because of Rugiamo. Once, he would have held a big fireball in his hand. The 2 men who had just walked in withdrew a little as they saw the angry lava demon. But when they heard his words, they were a little surprised. Looks like his stomach has succumbed to Mag's food. He is haggling with a human just to get 2 Rugiamos. This demon is hopeless, they thought. Even a demon didn't care about losing face before this Rugiamo. Their expectations had been raised a lot. They walked inside and seated themselves, waiting for Mag to deal with his problem first. Obviously, Mag was not in the least frightened by Sargeras. He shook his head. Sorry, all the tables and chairs are customized, and to make them more pleasant to the eye, they are all made from the same tree. Other chairs would break this uniformity, so they are not acceptable. A customized chair like this costs 10 gold coins. Even a log from the depths of the wind forest was worth a lot in the capital of the Roth Empire. A 10 gold coin chair that matched the style of the restaurant was definitely worth the money. If it were not for the fact that the system could get its hands on a lot of precious things, Mag wouldn't be surprised if this chair were sold at 100 gold coins. He was just a little worried that elves might recognize their wood. It had better not be some holy tree or something, Mag thought. When the customers heard Mag's words, their eyes lit up. They were all starting to check the chairs and tables. Now they noticed that the growth rings on every table were identical, and even the coloration was the same. No wonder they felt the restaurant was so harmonious. More surprisingly, there were 16 tables and 64 matching chairs in total, and they were all from the same tree. It must have been huge. No such tree existed around Chaos City. Even if there were one in the depths of the faraway mountains, it would undoubtedly cost a fortune to cut it down, carry it out, and make it into tables and chairs of the same style. The restaurant has gone through all this trouble to make tables and chairs for us customers. They felt really honored and respected. 3 gold coins is too expensive for a Ruggiamo? No, even 6 is worth the enjoyment of eating such a delicious Ruggiamo in such a fancy restaurant. Some customers were already starting to feel that way. They set their eyes on other decorations. Even tables and chairs are so exquisite, so other fancy ornaments must be marvelous too. On second thought, they decided they had to be more careful. They might have to pay a lot of money for every object they broke here at Novelbenet. Mag's words inadvertently raised the quality and class of the restaurant in customers' mind. Most of the people who came here in the early morning to eat a 3 gold coin Ruggiamo didn't have to work there as *es off for money. They were starting to truly live their life. The flames on Sargeras suddenly rose again. He was truly very angry. He stuffed the half Ruggiamo in his mouth, chewed several times, and swallowed. The fire became even fiercer. He had learned this time. He knew he had to keep away from the table and the door. After all, they looked more expensive. He was staring at Mag, ready to scare him with a big fireball. Chairs were all the same as far as he was concerned. He decided that Mag's fancy words were meant to confuse and trick him into paying a lot. He wouldn't allow that to happen. Amy was standing in front of Mag. She put Ugly Duckling on the floor. "Big bald head, you have to listen to my father, or I'll use my fireball on you," she said solemnly as she looked up at the lava-covered flaming Sargeras. "Move away, kid. This is between me and your father," Sargeras said in a hoarse voice. Amy was cramping his style. The customers became a little nervous. In their eyes, little Amy and weak Mag didn't stand a chance against the lava-covered flaming Sargeras. Frowning, Mabai turned his head, but he didn't seem very worried. Amy's fireball had frightened Habang, and Mag was certainly no ordinary man, so he was sure that they wouldn't let anything dangerous happen to him. Amy sighed. "Well, it can't be helped. Why won't you listen?" She extended her hand, and a bluish-violet fire suddenly appeared and became a fist-sized fireball. "Pay now, or I'll set you on fire," she said seriously as she gazed at Sargeras. Sargeras took a look at the little fireball in Amy's hand and chuckled. "Do you plan to burn me with this little spark?" Then he frowned and looked at Mag. "Owner, you want to hide behind your little girl? My father is very powerful, but collecting money is my job, so burn, big bald head," Amy said angrily before Mag could say a word. With a swing of her hand, the bluish-violet fireball flew towards Sargeras immediately. "Oh!" Sargeras looked at the little fireball, which wasn't much bigger than his thumb, and didn't seem to care. He reached out with his right hand casually, planning to grab and put it out. However, the moment the fireball reached Sargeras' hand, it exploded directly. The bluish-violet fireball wrapped Sargeras' hand up and spread along his red flames as if they were alcohol. Almost in an instant, Amy's flame swallowed him whole. The bluish-violet fire was dancing over the red fire. It looked like they were consuming each other. The customers gave a gasp of surprise. They had never thought that Amy's little fireball would enwrap Sargeras, but they still didn't know the power of her flame. Sargeras took a look at the bluish-violet fire on him and said indifferently, "You have to try a lot harder than." Suddenly, his words died in his throat when he saw his right hand. The red flames that engaged the bluish-violet flames first had been completely consumed. The latter also had little left, but they were still burning him. And that was just the beginning. The remaining bluish-violet flames quickly spread along his right hand. Sargeras, who had been insensitive to heat maybe for all his life, suddenly felt hot. He felt his rock-hard skin was being poked by needles. Mag was also a little surprised when he saw Sargeras' face change. He had thought that Amy's fireball would be ineffective on a lava demon, since it hadn't even killed black coal. But apparently he was wrong. The power of her fireball seemed to be extraordinary. Mag's strength was only 1.5, so he knew better than to throw himself at Sargeras. He didn't want to commit suicide. Yet he wasn't worried that Sargeras would tear the restaurant apart. He could see that he liked, or rather craved, the rigiamo. Somehow, he needed it very badly. This was where Mag's confidence came from. No other restaurant on the whole Norland Continent was able to make such a rigiamo. So, however mad this lava demon might get, he would never lay a finger on the restaurant or him or his daughter. He was a perfect subject to test Amy's power, because his fire-covered body shouldn't be easily hurt. Amy watched Sargeras and frowned. "Do you want some more?" Then she held out her hand. "If one is not enough, then I'll give you two," she said. "No, stop. It's so hot," Sargeras said as he jumped back a step and waved vigorously at Amy. The lava inside him was flowing fast, making his skin glow. Then he managed to withstand the bluish-violet flames, which had completely consumed all his red flames. He flung his arms a few times, and the fire was finally put out. Sargeras breathed a sigh of relief. When he saw Amy, who was still holding out her hand, he waved again. "I've had enough." "One is enough," he said helplessly. There was fright in his eyes. Some customers laughed out. The big, flaming Sargeras was standing before cute little Amy like a mouse before a cat. It was so amusing. As they laughed, they also felt a little startled. This lava demon isn't just looking frightening. Besides, lava demons are very powerful demons. If they had a large number, they would have made the top 10 demon subspecies. But such a powerful demon backed off because of Amy's fireball, and is afraid that she might unleash another. He is fighting in his element. Yet he just surrendered? Then how terrifying Amy's flames must be? The customers wondered. They looked at Mag in a different way. No ordinary man could own such a stylish gourmet restaurant. Even his 4-year-old daughter possesses the power to scare a lava demon. The customers decided they couldn't be too picky or grouchy in the restaurant, and that they definitely had to pay after eating. They had no power to stand up to such a fireball. Their laughter made Sargeras' face even redder. He, a lava demon warrior, was now forced to surrender to a half-elf girl. It was truly embarrassing. The bluish-violet fire was terrifying, but it was not the main reason why he surrendered. Before Amy's fire consumed his body, he had enough time to summon lava meteorite to wreck this restaurant 3 times. But he had no choice. If he tore it down, the method he had been searching for 50 years would be gone with it. He couldn't afford to let that happen. So, he couldn't touch the restaurant, the owner, nor the owner's daughter. If he had to tough out another Amy's fireball, his skin might be scorched. It would be painful, and he might react in spite of himself at it novelbenet. So the best solution was to give up. "It's all right." Mag put his hand gently on Amy's head to signal her to stop the fire that was about to appear. His smile was gone. "Sir, you have to obey the rules here," Mag said seriously as he looked at Sargeras. "No one is allowed to fight in the restaurant. No one is allowed to threaten the owner and employees. Otherwise, he'll be banned forever." When Sargeras heard that he might be banned, he held back the fire over his body immediately. "Owner, I was just joking. See? The little girl is having a very good time." He scratched his bald head as he gave a dry smile. Then he quickly put the gold coins on the table. "I'll pay 10 gold coins for the chair. And here is 3 for the rigiamo. But can I have another 10 rigiamos and put the bill on my tab? On my honor as a lava demon warrior. I'll pay you back as soon as I complete my quest and earn the money." Mag shook his head. "Sorry. There are rules here. We do not accept any kind of promise. Cash only. No credit allowed." He went over to the table and turned over the menu. There were 3 rules clearly written on the back. "System, you're pretty smart," Mag said in his mind as he saw the 3rd rule about no fighting and threatening the owner. 16 silver coins to add that. "The money has been deducted automatically," the system said. "Stop thinking about how to make money all day long. Be a little decent, will you?" Mag couldn't refrain from criticizing it. But Sargeras wouldn't give up that easy. He wanted to eat 10 in a row. Besides the effect on his barrier, the rigiamo was also divine. Amy crouched down. Ugly Duckling ran to her happily. She picked it up. "Find a job, demon. If you want to eat this delicious rigiamo, you have to try hard to earn money," Amy said to Sargeras as she clenched her little fist. Outside the restaurant, a white-haired old man who was resting under a big tree in his white magician robe suddenly lifted his head and looked in the direction of the restaurant. What is this? He asked himself. His deep eyes narrowed slightly. This magic wave? An elf? No, a human. No, what is it? It's so different. Krasuayu hesitated a moment, picked up his magic staff, which was as tall as himself, and walked slowly towards a restaurant. He had been wandering in Chaos City for several days and hadn't found anything interesting. Today might turn out to be his lucky day. Inside the restaurant, Sargeras took a look at the menu on the table, then at Amy, who was encouraging him, and at Mag, who showed no sign of giving in. He let out a sigh of helplessness. Money was indeed very important in this world. First, he found Mag a little unreasonable, but when he thought about the delicious and powerful Rigiamo he made, he considered it quite understandable for him to have some rules and temper. Even this little girl is able to make such a terrifying fireball, so Mag is very likely a powerful magic caster. He is very inconspicuous because he is so young and nothing on him can show he is a magic caster. Sargeras thought at it novel Benet. Once, he had seen a white-haired old human magic caster in the capital of the Roth Empire. He possessed such great power that he had defeated a giant dragon with only a fireball. He heard later that the old man was one of the royal magic casters and was among the most powerful ones in the Roth Empire. He didn't remember his name, though. Well, I won't break your rules. I'm Sargeras, by the way. I'll come back again, Sargeras said as he reached out his hand. Sargeras? Mag was taken by surprise. He might not have been a game junkie, but he sure had played the World of Warcraft. He paused a moment and asked, "Where is your Burning Legion?" "What?" Sargeras asked, confused. "Looks like they just share the same name." Mag breathed a sigh of relief. He took a look at Sargeras' hand, in which he could see lava flowing, and shook his head uneasily. "Never mind. I'm Mag. Please do come again." But shaking hands. "I have to work later, so I don't want to have to bandage my hand." Sargeras froze for an instant. He looked down at his hand and recalled that even human magic casters were still humans. He drew back his hand. "Well, I'll take my leave, then." He regulated his body temperature back to normal as he turned back. This way he wouldn't melt the handle as he opened the door. As he walked out, Sargeras nodded thoughtfully. Burning Legion? Not a bad name. Then he walked towards the exit of the Aiden Square quickly. "Father, Amy's incredible, right?" Amy looked up at Mag, waiting for his praise. Mag stroked her head with a smile. "Yes, Amy's super incredible. You helped a lot." He felt he was building up a fearsome facade with Amy. He didn't have any strong backing or strength, so for now, it was not bad for him to rely on her. It was still urgent for him to improve his strength, though. Amy smiled merrily, contentment written all over her little face. "I'd like 2 plates of the new dish, please," one customer said politely as he raised his hand. "I'd also like 2. "No hurry. Take your time," another customer said, smiling. Mag nodded with a smile. "Sure. Please wait a moment." He left Amy and Ugly Duckling to themselves and walked quickly towards the kitchen. Krasa stopped before the floor-to-ceiling window and was a little surprised when he saw Amy, who was holding a white and orange little creature in her arms. Looks like the magic wave was from that little girl. Then he shook his head with pity. Such a shame. She could have been a real talent, but, sadly, she was spoiled by the collision of 2 bloodlines. Otherwise, I would have got what I came here for. Her talent is wasted by him. A little guidance is all she needs. Krasa stamped his foot in anger. He wanted to leave, but he couldn't move his feet as he gazed at Amy. He stood before the window, motionless. Amy noticed Krasu. She walked a little closer. "Ugly Duckling, why is that white-beard grandpa standing there like a statue? Maybe he has no money, and that's why he doesn't dare to come in? Like the little match girl? If he sells matches too, should we buy one for him?" she asked softly as she widened her eyes to look over Krasu, trying to find out whether or not he had a basket full of matches hidden under his robe. "Meow," replied Ugly Duckling. It was also starting to look for matches on him, though it didn't know what matches were. She looks pretty intelligent. She is a half-elf, but perhaps she is trainable and has potential. Maybe I should check her out, Krasa thought as he looked at the cute twin-braid Amy, who was looking over him with her big, bright blue eyes. Then he glanced at the busy restaurant and the opening hours on the door. He was in no hurry to walk in. He stared at Amy and Ugly Duckling through the crystal glass for half an hour. Mag saw Crossa too when serving. Different from the grim, black-robed Urian next door, this white-haired, white-bearded, and white-robed magic caster, who was holding a light gray staff, was more like a magic caster to him. Amy stood there for a moment, and then sat at a window seat with her kitten. She continued to stare at Crossu. Both of them were not blinking. She didn't stand up, except when she had to collect money. Other than that, her eyes didn't even move a bit. Near 9 a.m., customers were falling off. He had already sold out all the 64 Rigiamos by 8:30. Those who didn't get to eat asked Mag to make more next time. Mag felt a little sorry himself. He also wanted to make more and earn more money. It seemed he had to be more efficient from tomorrow. When there were only 3 customers left in the restaurant, Crossa diverted his eyes from Amy and walked in. "Welcome," Mag said, smiling. He was the first magic caster to eat here. Amy took a look at Crossu. "Father, this is Match Grandpa," she said solemnly as she looked back at Mag. Mag was taken by surprise. "Match Grandpa?" He saw Amy's sympathetic eyes and remembered the story he had told her about a little match girl. Apparently, she had taken Crossu for a destitute old man. However, he didn't look poor to Mag, judging from his demeanor. He is either a reclusive master or holds a high position in the Empire. The decorations didn't surprise him, because they meant nothing to him. Details are saying a lot. Amy nodded. "Yes, look how pitiful he is. He's been waiting for so long, and no one has bought a match from him. Why don't we buy one?" Then she looked at Crossu and said, "Grandpa, don't worry. You might still die of hunger even if we buy one from you. But you'd be a lot better than the little girl who hadn't sold even one match, so you should die in peace." Crossu was a little confused. "She seems to be mistaken." He shook his head with a smile. "Little girl, actually, I'm not a—" "You must be cold and hungry, and longing for a roast goose," Amy interrupted. "But Ugly Duckling is just a baby. You can't eat it now," she said vigilantly as she drew back, holding the kitten in her arms. "Meow." A little worried, Ugly Duckling looked up at Amy, its eyes wide. Crossa didn't know what to say. "The little girl looks at me as a poor old man who wants to eat roast goose before I can say a word. And what does this have to do with that little cat-like creature?" Mag wanted to chuckle as he looked at the vigilant Amy. He saw Crossa's confused face and smiled quickly. "Sorry, I told her a story before, and she believed it. What would you like to eat? The menu is on the table. Take a look, but Lagi Rigiamos are sold out." "Thank you." Crossa didn't think much and took a seat opposite Amy. He leaned his staff against the window, gave Amy a kind smile, and picked up the menu on the table. He came here to find out if Amy had a talent to learn magic and ask her guardian's opinion, but he didn't want to be so forward by bringing that up this instant. Of course, being turned down was the least of his worries. People who wanted to be apprenticed to him would line up from the palace to the gate of the capital. There might be pressure from outside if he took a half-elf on as a disciple. However, he hadn't been caring about stuff like that after he passed 120. Now, all he wanted was a good student to whom he could pass his skills on. Crossa didn't care if his disciple was a human, an elf, or even a half-elf. He couldn't care less about other people's opinions. People knew better than to mess with him. It was the most comfortable restaurant he had been to these days in Chaos City. Of course, in grandness, it was nothing compared to the palace of the Roth Empire. It was very busy. A restaurant in a corner had so many customers. It must have a lot of different dishes. Crossu opened the menu and was surprised when he found only 2 dishes on it. He said Lagi Rigiamo has sold out, so only Yangzhou fried rice is available now. "Owner, what's this Yangzhou fried rice?" Crossu asked as he looked up at Mag. He had lived more than 120 years, and never once had he heard about this dish. 600 copper coins isn't cheap. The cost of a plate of this can last 10 days for a normal family of 3. Super delicious rainbow fried rice. Amy blurted out before Mag could speak. Then she became a little worried. "I know you want to eat it, but we don't accept matches. Cash only. If you have no money to pay, I'll use my fire on you." "Actually, I have money," Crossa said as he smiled gently. He held out a lean, old hand from his loose robe and put it on the table, palm up. There were 2 dragon coins in the middle. "So you don't sell matches?" Amy watched the dragon coins in his hand, a little confused at it novel been at. I don't sell matches, but if you want, I can make one for you. Then he snapped his fingers and poof, a match as thick as a little finger and 2 fingers long appeared on his fingertip. Mag was startled when he saw this. It's a higher level magic, making something out of nothing. He is a true master. Amy's fireball can only destroy, but Cross's match magic is simple yet skillful. He has combined magic with life, and he's good at it, Mag thought. He must be very powerful. Wow, you can use magic? Amy's eyes lit up completely as she stared at the match in Cross's hand. Cross nodded, smiling. Sure, I'm a magic caster. This is nothing. Some magic can beat giant dragons and trolls. Do you want to learn? Mag had thought that Crossu was about to order, and had never expected that he would trick Amy into learning magic. He became a little wary. He knew Amy wanted to learn, but right now, they couldn't expose who they were. He had left the capital for this chaos city to shun those sneering eyes. Those people had let him live that night to laugh at his miserable life. He had faked his suicide, changed his face, and settled here. Now for years had passed. Most of them should assume that we are already dead, thought Mag. But it's a matter of life or death, so we can't be too careful. Amy must have inherited her talent in magic from her mother. If this talent is possessed by royalty only, then I have all the more reason to find a trustworthy teacher for her. Amy shook her head immediately without thinking. No, then she pointed at Mag and said proudly, my father is also a very powerful magic caster. He conjured up this beautiful restaurant, and he can make all kinds of tasty food. Can you? Crossa froze for a minute. He didn't know how to cook. He raised his eyes to look at Mag and didn't find any magic wave on him, and he found that the restaurant was made of normal material. Its building material is a lot better than other restaurants, but magic is not involved. Looks like the owner lied to his daughter to build up his image as a great father. Owner, I'd like a plate of Yangzhou fried rice. Please, Crossa said as he looked at Mag with a smile. Since the little girl won't listen, I'll have to find a way through her father. Mag nodded. Okay, please wait a moment. He turned to walk towards the kitchen. He was pretty satisfied with Amy's answer. At least she didn't say yes right away. Seeing that this magic caster was not quite ready to give up, he was still on alert. Now that it was evident that Crossu was not here to sell matches, and that he had money, Amy wasn't in a hurry to make him leave. White-bearded grandpa, where are you from? She asked curiously. I'm Crossu Aiou, from Rodu, the capital of the Roth Empire. It's much bigger than Chaos City, a dozen times bigger. I walked half a year to arrive here, Crossu answered with a smile, trying to soften his voice and expression. If people from the serving tower saw Crossu, who used to be stern and even grim, talking to a little girl in such a gentle way, they would be stunned speechless. Mag stopped moving and clenched his fist. About half of the powerful human magic casters were living in Rodu, and the most powerful ones among them were stationed at the 36-storied Magus Tower. They served the royalty, so the tower was also known as the Serving Tower. That night, 3 magic casters had attacked him, and 2 had been from the Serving Tower. That meant the royal family, or at least some of them, had given their consent. That incident had shocked the army of the Empire. The king had ordered to clean up the Magus Tower. They had made 2 small potatoes from the royal family their scapegoats, and then the whole thing had blown over. Mag found Crossu in his predecessor's memory. He was one of those magic casters serving the royal family. It was said he was over 120 years old. He was very introverted and mysterious, and had never left the tower. Even if there were big events in the Roth Empire, he had never attended them. The king himself could do nothing about him. As a knight, Mag didn't like magic casters very much. He had never seen Crossu before until now. He didn't know whether that incident had been agreed upon by all the magic casters in the tower, or had been a secret mission executed by only those 2 magic casters. Either way, Mag decided to keep Amy away from this Crossu. The serving tower consists of different kinds of people. As one of the senior magic casters in it, he must have heard about that incident. I can't take any risks. Seeing that he was trying to interest Amy in Rodu, Mag became a little anxious. He would never let Amy leave his side, to say nothing of letting her go to that lifeless Magus Tower. Having made up his mind, Mag went into the kitchen and started processing the ingredients to make Yangzhou fried rice. He walked half a year? Amy thought a moment, cocking her head, as Krasu was assuming that she would become intrigued and ask questions about Rodu. Amy let out a sigh. White-bearded grandpa, you're so old, she said considerately. Such a short road took you 6 months. Why don't you stay at home? If you fell, someone would have to take you back. It's very troublesome. Surprise choked Cross's words. It would have only taken him about 20 days to come here by carriage, added Novel Benedad. Yet he had chosen to walk because he wanted to find a good disciple. He had detoured to visit a lot of places. He had never thought that he would be seen as a decrepit old man by Amy. Cross had tried to calm himself down. Actually, I can use more powerful magic. He was attempting to draw Amy's attention with magic again. Ugly duckling. Do you want to see his magic? Amy asked as she looked down at her kitten. Ugly duckling cast a glance at the old man and shook its head. Me neither, Amy said, shrugging. Crossa learned for the first time that children were not as easy to be deceived as he had expected. This half-elf girl is difficult to be persuaded. She has a vicious tongue and a quick, leaping mind. She is an unusual girl. While Crossa was thinking hard on how to make Amy interested in him, Mag came out, holding a plate of Yangzhou fried rice. Your Yangzhou fried rice, he said with a smile as he put it before him. What's this? Cross's eyes brightened immediately as he saw the colorful fried rice in front of him. Just like Amy had said, it was like a rainbow. Colors had been chopped up and fried together. Egg-coated rice and grain-sized ingredients cut by amazing skills combined to make such an exquisite dish. The aroma of the eggs and different ingredients made him swallow in spite of himself. It was so strong that it was even more inviting than the food the chefs made in the palace. Crosso had lost his appetite for many years, but now he felt an urge to try it. He picked up his spoon, took a spoonful from the middle, and ate it. The eggs outside the rice were so tender, and the ham released tasty juice as he bit into it. The mixed taste of different ingredients stirred his long-dead taste buds, seeming to have revived them. They found nourishment in the food, and he found his long-forgotten appetite again. When he chewed on the rice, Krasu opened his eyes immediately. The rice was sweet, delicious, and comfortable, nourishing his whole body as he swallowed. He was startled and confused. I'm familiar with this feeling. It's the taste of spring of life. The elves' holy spring. Once, an interesting elf girl had visited him and brought him a small jar of water from the spring of life. He could never forget its taste. The water was the main reason why he was able to live such a long time. Even he had only got to try the water 3 times. And the other 2 times was because of the welfare of being a royal magic caster. Such a shame. What a nice girl. She married a wrong man. Where does the taste of the spring of life come from? Did the owner add some while cooking? Even 1 drop of that is something. Cross's hand paused a moment, and then he couldn't help but bring another spoonful to his mouth. Savoring the delicious taste in his mouth, he forgot the spring of life, his depressing memories, and his rough journey in search of a disciple. The taste made him forget everything for the moment. Crossa put the spoon down softly. Not 1 single grain of rice was left. He chewed on the last mouthful of fried rice, feeling the pleasant taste spreading in his mouth. After he swallowed, the fried rice became a warm current, nourishing his almost dried-up body. He felt revived and didn't care if it was only a lightning before death. Life was beautiful to him now. Owner, I'd like 1 more plate, Crossa said as he looked up at Mag. He couldn't remember the last time he wanted seconds. He felt he could eat some more today. Mag shook his head slightly. Sorry, sir. Our morning opening hours are over. Actually, we have been open for an extra 3 minutes now. Please come eat another time. It was already 9:03. Mag had his non-negotiable face on. Crossa looked at Mag. I only want 1 more plate. I'll pay double. He pulled out 3 dragon coins and put them on the table gently. Again, Mag shook his head. Sorry, but that's our rule here. If he were just a regular old man, Mag might have made an exception. But he was Krassu. He wanted nothing more than to make him leave right now. He looked dangerous to him. Father, Amy looked up at Mag, hesitating. The white-bearded grandpa is so pitiful, and he offered to pay double. Then she saw Mag's face and bit back her words. Crosso gave Mag a long stare to make sure that he wasn't expecting him to raise his offer. I see. Then I'll come back for lunch. He put 2 coins away. He wanted to ask about the spring of life, but thought better of it. He decided to bring it up later. Crosso tidied his robe and straightened himself up a bit. Owner, I have a favor to ask of you, he said as he looked at Mag. I'm Crosso, a 10th tier magic caster from the Roth Empire. I'm old now, so I'm trying to find a disciple to inherit my magic skills. I just sensed a strange magic wave from her. Could you allow me to check her talent? Maybe it's fate that I met her today. Mag narrowed his eyes. A 10th tier magic caster. There are no more than 15 on the whole continent. They are the most powerful. Even the Roth Empire has only 4 or 5 of them. But I didn't see his name on the list back then. He doesn't seem to be lying, though, because he just said it like it was nothing. If you made Amy your disciple, would you take her back to Rodu? Mag asked quietly, looking at Crosso. The old man nodded. I would. There is proper equipment and perfect magic rooms for beginners in the Magus Tower. They can learn faster there. As my disciple, she is entitled to enter the Magus Tower. That's the holy tower for magic casters. The Magus Tower was held in high regard by most magic casters on the Norland Continent, and it was an important reason why a large number of magic casters was staying in Rodu. Even common people knew what it meant to enter the tower, so he didn't worry that Mag would reject his offer. Sorry, I don't like the idea of Amy leaving my side, and I will never let her go to Rodu on her own. So thank you, but I have to politely decline your offer, Mag said as he shook his head without hesitating. Amy nodded. I'll never leave you, father. Sitting on the chair, she reached out her little hand to grab Mag's finger. Crosso froze for an instant. As a 10th tier magic caster serving the Roth Empire, he wanted to test Amy. If she was qualified, he would make her his disciple and take her back to Rodu to learn magic in the Magus Tower. Even nobles in the capital would have gone crazy about this offer. Never had he thought that he would be turned down by a small restaurateur in Chaos City. During his long journey, Crosso had checked many children who wanted to be his disciple. Parents had rushed to send their kids to him even before he showed who he was. They didn't care even if he took them as an intern. Yet Mag didn't even plan to give him a chance to test his daughter. His indifference caught him by surprise, but he didn't make any gaffe. He quickly resumed his smile. Owner, you live in Chaos City, so maybe you don't know much about magic casters. The Magus Tower, at it novel been at. I won't let Amy leave my side, period, Mag interrupted. And I'm not interested in the Magus Tower. Then he took a look at the time. Sorry, sir, we have to buy sheep milk for this little thing. If you don't mind, please come back later, he said with a courtesy smile. Amy nodded as she stroked the kitten's head. Yes, ugly duckling is starving. She pulled 4 gold coins from her pocket, put them on the table, and took the dragon coin away. White-bearded grandpa, you're so small and don't need much food. You won't grow anymore, so save the money for your next meal. Here, your change. Crosso was feeling a mixture of emotions. I've told them who I am, sincerely offered to test her magic talent and try to make her my disciple, but apparently I got turned down because a kitten wanted to drink some sheep milk. I guess no one would believe that. Even if he didn't find any disciple during his journey, almost everybody had shown him a lot of respect and admiration. They had been willing to pay to make him test their children. But sadly, it's the truth. Their gestures and looks are in sync. They don't want me to stay here. All right, then I'll come back again. Crosso, who was rejected for the very first time when taking in a disciple, picked up the coins and walked towards the door with his staff. Be careful, white-bearded grandpa. If you fell, you might not be able to get up, Amy said as Crosso was opening the door. Crosso's hand stopped suddenly. He turned his head sharply and saw Amy's worried face. He saw the elf girl from before. He had been at the end of his life, coughing badly at the window of the 32nd floor of the Magus Tower. Suddenly, a crisp, worried voice sounded from behind him. Be careful, white-bearded grandpa. If you fell down, you might kill others. He turned back. It was a young elf lady around 16. He was meeting her for the first time. Her words were both surprising and amusing, and she had a leaping mind and a vicious tongue, just like the little girl before him. The young lady had looked at him for a moment. Then she'd removed a gourd from her belt and tossed it to him, saying that it was some spring water from her home and that it would quench his thirst. After that, she started going up the stairs again. Not everybody had the right to enter the Magus Tower, and it was off-limits to other species. The concern and warmth he felt before he breathed his last made him open the gourd and take a drink, and he realized immediately that it was the milk of life, which was more precious than the water from the spring of life. There were only 3 drops in that gourd, and they prolonged his life by more than 10 years. She gave away such an invaluable thing to him, a random old man, as if it were just a bottle of water. And she didn't even know his name. He learned later that she was the princess of Elves, the sole successor to the throne. She had brought that milk of life from home for when she was thirsty. She saw him coughing and gave it to him. It was her first time to come to the Roth Empire. The elf officials were paying a friendly visit, and she tagged along. She somehow managed to trick the guards into letting her in. She went up to the top floor and wrote down the elf princess was here. Then she left contentedly. She was the princess, so the king could not discipline her. He even retained the green writing of hers as a proof of friendship between 2 countries. Crassa brought his thoughts back and nodded at Amy, smiling. "Thank you," he said. "This little girl is much like her. Maybe because she is half-elf." He pushed open the door and left added Novelbenet. He hadn't heard from Elves for years. The truth of that incident had been totally blocked, and all he knew was some hearsay that Alex had been badly wounded and then killed in a demon ambush. Nobody had heard from the elf princess ever since. No one would link these 2 things together, except for the few people holding high ranks in those 2 species. Looks like the owner doesn't want his girl to leave him. Should I bring him to the tower as well? Crassa muttered as he took a glance back. Then he limped away, leaning on his staff. Not far away, at the door of the magic potion shop, Urian stood in his black robe, narrowing his eyes, watching Crassa leave. Why did he leave that coffin tower? He muttered to himself as a deep green flame was dancing in his hand. Then he turned his head and saw Mag and Amy walk out. He frowned as he looked at Amy. That old man wanted to make the little girl his disciple. Mag caught Urian's look. It's a good thing that Amy is a genius, but somehow it doesn't feel good to see her being targeted by others. Crassa looked decent. It was an honor to serve the royals, and with this honor came responsibility and restraint. His black-robed neighbor, however, was making him worry that he might be a dark magic caster. His look, his voice, and his slow actions were oozing cold and darkness. Amy stopped at their neighbor's shop. "Good morning, Turtle Grandpa." "Black coal, green pea, hello," she said with a smile. Mag raised an eyebrow. "Turtle." To be sure, Urian was a little hunchbacked, but normally people didn't like this kind of nickname. It was a little rude one. Amy was too little to know such a thing, but Mag was embarrassed. He wanted to apologize. Urian lifted his eyes slightly. "Good morning," he said, his voice harsh and terrifying like the sound of metal rubbing together. Mag bit back his words. "Seems like he isn't averse to his nickname. But I know this look from Crassu. If he wanted to take Amy on as a disciple too, that would be a real headache." "Amy, what's that ugly thing in your arms?" Black Coal asked as he moved closer. He still had 2 leaves on his body. "It's clearly more adorable than you," Green Pea said, casting a disdainful glance at Black Coal. "But aren't cats only black or white?" "Why is it orange and white?" she asked curiously. "Meow." Ugly Duckling cried out at the crow. It reached out its pink paws as if trying to show its claws. It sounded like a baby, though. "A cat." Black Coal jumped back in startlement, but he cocked his head as he took another look at the kitten. "I'm the Honorable Fama Odin Ben. I'll never be frightened by an abnormal, ugly kitten," he said proudly. Amy shook her head. "It's not a kitten. It's an ugly duckling." She stroked its hair to comfort it. "Black Coal, you're the ugliest one here. An ugly duckling can only be the second ugliest. And it will grow up." Black Coal became a little nervous again. Watching the little kitten wagging its tail proudly, he sneered, "I'm not afraid of that little thing. Look at his short legs. It's not able to reach me. Besides, growing up in a restaurant, it will get fat." Mag gave Amy's head a stroke, smiling. "Let's go, Amy. I have to prepare the ingredients when we get back," he said. "The ingredients for Laji Rugiamo have to be processed in advance. And this magic caster staring is making me uncomfortable." "Bye," Amy said, waving her hand, and left with Mag. Maybe I can look into her as well. If she has a talent for the dark magic, I will steal her from that old man. It would be very interesting, Urian muttered to himself as he watched Amy leave. After they got back from the market, Mag bottled some sheep milk for Amy and the kitten. He watched as they sucked happily. Then he poured some for himself. He knew his strength couldn't recover in a short time, but he could feel his strength growing slowly. As he was kneading dough, he checked his mission schedule in his head. He wasn't worried about selling 1,000 Rugiamos. Working at this pace, he could finish it in about 6 days. However, the mission of getting 1,000 customers was not looking good. Only 10 new customers had come in the morning. Regular customers were too many. He was a little anxious. I have to be more efficient. The ordering and serving are taking too much time. Amy clearly can't handle these two things. Maybe I should hire someone to work for me, Mag thought. As for the purchasing limit strategy, he still didn't want to try it. If customers couldn't have their fill of food, should they starve or go to another restaurant? Mag decided to improve efficiency and only limit the takeout food. He wanted more people to eat in his restaurant without having to limit the servings. There was another problem, though. There were huge eaters in this world, like giant dragons and forest trolls. One such customer would consume everything they could supply for one day. Maybe he would have to limit supplies then, or he would have to ask the system to buy an oversized oven to cook huge Rugiamos. Either way, he needed time to think about this. After all, even Sargeras could eat 10 in a row. Of course, the main problem now was that he had to cook everything all by himself. If he had semi-buffet dishes like hot pot or malatang one, it would be easier. There were job agencies on the square. Employers could find workers there, while employees could find jobs. They had an integrated system. It was said that one could find all kinds of workers there with the right money. Mag decided to check with agencies when they had their first rest day. Money's no issue, but I need to find a reliable and diligent employee of few words, one who can get the job done at Novelbenet. He had sold 64 Rugiamos in an hour in the morning, and the lunchtime was half of an hour longer, so he planned to make more. Even one more batch meant 16 Rugiamos, and they might be enough for a few more customers. Ugly Duckling fell asleep after drinking the milk. Maybe because of it, Amy leaned on the counter and also dozed off. Mag watched Amy's back through the glass and smiled. As many species as there were in this world, it had been pretty calm these days. Mag didn't feel unsafe. Under the governance of the Grey Temple, it was relatively safe to live in Chaos City. Thus, Mag Alex had chosen to come here. The order in the chaos made people feel more comfortable and secure than the order relying on money and power in all the species. As usual, they had their lunch before lunchtime. Ugly Duckling showed a sullen look again, but Mag ignored it. He couldn't give it the food they were eating now. Amy was wolfing down food before her kitten, and sometimes she put the spoon in front of it, but didn't let it have any. It was even begging Amy with its paws. "You'll never be a master." Mag sighed silently as he looked at Ugly Duckling. Amy was really good. She had totally made the kitten listen to her every word. Amy grinned. "Begging won't work. You can't eat rainbow fried rice now. I was doing that on purpose." Then she put another spoon of rice in front of the kitten. Ugly Duckling looked away, seeming to doubt its life. After lunch, Mag cleared the table and poured the kitten a bottle of milk. When he handed the bottle to it, the kitten showed its teeth all the way as if trying to prove that it was ready to eat solid food. Mag was a little surprised when he found it had already had a full mouth of teeth. "Your teeth are growing pretty fast." But before Ugly Duckling could wag its tail in delight, Mag shook his head and said, "But newborn cats can only eat solid food after a week, so you have to drink milk for several more days." Ugly Duckling became upset instantly. It sucked on the nipple in sullenness and looked away. It was not pleased with them. More customers came for lunch than Mag had expected. Because of the restaurant's location, it was not very convenient for many customers who had a relatively short lunch break to come here. Besides, not everybody could afford at least 300 copper coins for a meal 3 times a day. At long last, a lot more customers came at noon. "Hey, park the carriages far from here," Harrison said as he climbed out of his carriage. "Don't affect customers' appetite. Can't you see the big crystal glass there? They want their customers to see the beautiful view on the Aiden Square." He waved his fat arm to guide the carriages. 5 fancy-dressed men came out of the carriages. They had nearly the same build, thunder thighs, a fat waist, and a neck almost as thick as the head. Together, they looked like 6 fat brothers. "Harrison, you said you would take us to a new restaurant tonight. The food there is delicious and able to help us lose weight. Is this the one?" a fatty in yellow asked, wondering. The restaurant's decorations were relatively high-end on the Aiden Square. With that said, they didn't really care about the environment in the restaurant. They often ate street food if it was delicious. They called themselves the true foodies. Many customers are already here, but most of them seem to have a normal physique. If it really can help lose weight, what are these skinny people doing here? Harrison's friends were all made of money. The one in yellow, his family owned 3 inns. The one in green, his family ran the most popular tea shop in Chaos City. In short, they didn't have to worry about how to make money. They had a lot of pocket money every day. They ate, drank, and played together. If one of them found an interesting place, he would tell the others. So, they decided to come here this noon and try the magic food after Harrison's invitation yesterday. Harrison nodded. "Yes, but the food will only work on very fat people like us, so don't say I didn't tell you that." Then he took a glance in the direction of the restaurant. "Remember, whatever you do, don't mess with the owner's daughter. Even orcs and demons are afraid of her." The others were a little astonished. "He has such a terrifying girl." Harrison had a lot of guts among them, and even he was so afraid of this girl, so they all nodded obediently. "Let's go. I'm hungry." Harrison walked in first, followed by others. 6 fat men with an average weight of over 100 kilograms walked in together, blocking the sunlight and casting a large shadow. Other customers were all looking at them with fear. Amy's eyes widened as she watched these tall, fat customers walk clumsily in. "Melon Regiment?" Ugly Duckling stuck its head out of Amy's arms and watched with wide eyes. It had never seen so many fatties before. Its eyes were shining with curiosity. Mag was also a little startled when he came out holding 4 Rigiamos. Harrison said he would bring his friends here. Never thought he would bring 5. As he gazed at these 6 unusual customers, suddenly, Mag pictured a certain sight. 6 fatties were gobbling down Rigiamo while their body fat was shaking all over. It was too beautiful a picture for Mag to imagine. He was very happy to have 5 new customers, though. "Mag, I'd like 3 Rigiamos," Harrison said as he took a seat. Ever since yesterday noon, he had been eating here for his every meal. He had woken up a little late this morning, so Rigiamos had been sold out when he arrived for breakfast. That was why they came here shortly after the restaurant opened at noon. Mag nodded. "Sure. Please wait a sec." He turned to go to the kitchen. They split up into groups of 3. The one in yellow took several deep sniffs the moment he sat down. "Smells great." He looked around, trying to find the source. "Yeah, what's this meat? Why does it smell this good?" they asked Harrison as they swallowed. "It's unlike grilled meat. It's much more appetizing." Then their eyes caught the Rigiamo in the hands of that small-eyed man. The enticing smell tickled their noses. They could see a white bread in a brownish-yellow bag and a thick layer of meat stuffed inside the bread. They watched as he narrowed his eyes and took a large bite, chewing happily. They watched as he slowly swallowed. They practically swallowed at the same time. "What's that? I want that." They all turned their heads to look at Harrison, waiting urgently for his answer. It was not easy for foodies to watch as others were gorging on delicious food. "This is the Laji Rigiamo I've told you about," Harrison said calmly. Inside, he was having a blast. He loved to see their astonished faces. "Owner, I'd like 3 Laji Rigiamos." "Me too." "Same here." No sooner had Harrison spoken than they started ordering. They could eat as much as Harrison, so they had all ordered 3. "Okay, just a moment, please," Mag said as he put a plate of Yangzhou fried rice before a customer. Then he turned and went into the kitchen. He was busy like a bee. "What's that colorful dish?" "It looks good too," the fatty in red asked curiously as he looked at the Yangzhou fried rice. "Rainbow fried rice. It's very good," Amy answered behind the counter. She found it really interesting to watch the Melon Regiment. They all looked in the direction of the sound, and their eyes lit up when they saw a lovely Amy sitting there while holding a strange-colored cat. Such a cute little girl. She looks like a half-elf, but she is much more adorable than a true elf. This is the owner's daughter, Harrison warned as he put a hand over his mouth to muffle his voice. This morning, he had seen with his own eyes when Amy's fireball beat a lava demon. She may look adorable, but she is a real badass. She's so cute and not as terrifying as you described, the fatty in blue said as he waved his hand. Demons and orcs must have been defeated by her cuteness. He thought Amy was harmless and refused to believe the fact that she possessed horrible power. The one in red nodded in agreement. Exactly. I've never seen such an adorable girl before. Say what you will. Harrison put a hand on his forehead. Making them believe Amy is terrifying is a headache. Little lady, I'd like a plate of this very good rainbow fried rice, the fatty in blue said to Amy with a smile. George Francois was the oldest among them. His family owned several forges, and 2 were his, but he didn't have to do anything, so he just followed Harrison and others around. The difference between him and the others was that he was married and had 3 sons. The oldest was 5, added Novel Benedet. George always wanted a daughter, but all he had were boys. Now, the 4th one was already in his wife's belly. She had told him if the 4th one was also a boy, he could get a concubine to bear him a girl, and that she wouldn't bear another child no matter what. Of course, he didn't dare to get a concubine. His normally kind wife had been holding a pair of scissors when she said that. If it hadn't been for his sharp eyes, he might have been castrated. His resentment and anticipation made him care for little girls. He envied Mag having Amy. Such a lovely girl. He must be very happy. Amy nodded. Okay. Then she turned and shouted, Father, Blue Fatty wants a plate of rainbow fried rice. Harrison and others burst out laughing. They were of similar build, but they still laughed out loud hearing George's nickname. George froze for an instant, and his face became a little odd. Did she just call me a blue fatty? But looking at Amy's lovely and sincere face, he was unable to get angry. Instead, even he was tempted to laugh. Yellow fatty, green fatty, red fatty, cyan fatty, and gray fatty. Why are you laughing? She asked curiously as they threw back their heads and howled with laughter. Their laughter broke off suddenly. They looked at each other's clothes, and then their faces became colorful. The same thought went across their minds. She's indeed not as simple as she looks. They found her both irritating and cute. Ha, red fatty. Harrison couldn't hold back his laughter. He guffawed at the fatty in red opposite him. Shut up, you gray fatty. The one in red seemed a little embarrassed, but he felt like laughing too. Why? We're being laughed at, but we want to chuckle. There was a time when we would have overturned the table if someone laughed at us. The one in yellow said confusedly, trying to refrain from laughing. Maybe because they were not cute enough. The one in cyan sighed deeply. Mag brought 2 Rigiamos for Harrison first. He had put the bread in the oven at intervals, so they couldn't be ready at the same time. Besides, Rigiamo was a dish best served hot when the tasty gravy was still seeping in and wouldn't detract from the soft and crunchy texture of the bread. So, even if a customer ordered many, Mag would serve him at intervals, and those who ordered first would be served first. Please enjoy, Mag said, smiling. He went back into the kitchen. Smells terrific, the one in red observed, his eyes fixed on the Rigiamo as he sniffed the strong aroma. Harrison, let me take a bite, he said expectantly while Harrison was holding 1 Rigiamo in each hand. Yeah, pass it along, the one in cyan said, leaning over. The lean meat and fat in the Baiji bread was very appetizing. Harrison shook his head without hesitation. He would have shared other food with them, but not this Rigiamo. He didn't get to eat any for breakfast and had waited a whole morning. To be sure, Yangzhou fried rice was great, but it wouldn't make him feel high like this Rigiamo would do. Be patient. I'll dig into it now, he said with a grin as they stared at him, craving. Is it really that good? They wondered. Harrison was always an easygoing person. Normally, he would share his food with pleasure. However, today he wouldn't even let them take a bite to taste it. His abnormal behavior raised their anticipation for the dish, added Novel Benedet. Harrison lifted his right hand to take a large bite. His eyes closed spontaneously as he felt the gourmet food melting on his tongue. This feeling of pleasure put a smile on his face. His friends couldn't divert their eyes. Despite themselves, they too, all swallowed as he swallowed contentedly. They couldn't feel what he was feeling, But the usually picky Harrison's satisfied smile said it all. It was as if he had been shocked by electricity. Harrison's fat was starting to shake slightly because of the rushing blood. A sheen of sweat appeared on his face, but he was really enjoying it. He took another bite, and his whole body was shaking. That's how it helps? They wondered, watching Harrison. They didn't believe him when he said it could lose weight, but now they found themselves wrong. Other customers had noticed Harrison's unusual state as well. In astonishment, they took a look at the Ruggiamo in their hand, and then at the one in his, but they found nothing different about it. They could feel their blood running wild, but they didn't understand why he was acting so dramatically. Harrison's friends watched as he finished his first Ruggiamo and swallowed countless times. Finally, Mag walked out with 5 Ruggiamos and served one to each of them. They came here together and were really good friends, so they didn't care who got served first. Ugly Duckling, watch closely. You don't want to miss this. Amy lifted the kitten up higher against her chest and widened her eyes. Mag also stopped at the counter and looked back. 6 fatties are eating Ruggiamo together. We don't come across something like this every day. They studied the Ruggiamos in their hands and saw the white bread with chopped lean meat and fat inside. They were always bragging about how they had tried everything in the whole city, but they were seeing this kind of bread for the very first time. Their appetite was so whetted by the pleasant aroma and Harrison's swallowing that they all brought the Ruggiamos to their mouths immediately. Harrison smiled at his friends. They will love its taste. He started eating his second one. Ah! They let out a satisfied sound in delight almost at the same time. Their voice was not very loud, but they were so in sync that other customers watched them with surprise. Those who had tried this Ruggiamo knew the sound was a spontaneous reaction of the body. It was genuine and felt so good that it was out of control. So, other customers didn't find them annoying. Instead, they were really enjoying themselves because they were in exactly the same embarrassing situation as they had been. Their enjoyment turned to astonishment quickly. They found the fat on the 6 fatties was starting to shiver. The fat on their calves, legs, bellies, and necks was shaking like waves. They were making waves just by sitting together. Other customers were tempted to laugh, but thought better of it. They couldn't avert their eyes as they watched the waves, holding back their laughter. The small-eyed man's face got red, trying to refrain from laughing out. He would have guffawed if he hadn't known better. It's so funny. Amy clapped her little hands merrily. Never had she seen such an amusing reaction. These fatties can't control their fat. Meow. Ugly Duckling lifted its pink paws to cover its eyes. They scared it. It's truly exceptionally beautiful. Mag couldn't help laughing and turned to go to the kitchen immediately. Obviously, Ruggiamo is working very well on extra fat people. This could become a selling point for certain people. The 6 fatties were completely lost in the delicious taste of the food and paid no mind to what other people were thinking. They were savoring the unprecedented gourmet dish as they felt their fat shaking. George put down the bag slowly, not quite satisfied. It's so delicious and can make me lose weight, no less. Maybe only God is able to devise a dish this magical. Harrison nodded in agreement. Mag is truly a genius. After 2 Ruggiamos, he was not quite full. One more was enough. This Ruggiamo can help lose weight? Other customers' faces lit up as they heard this. They all had 1 or 2 friends who were fat and fond of eating. If it's true, I'll bring my fat friends here next time. Mag shook his head with a smile as he listened to their praise. Of course, he wasn't a genius. Geniuses didn't have to study sleeplessly and restlessly for 100 days to master how to cook Ruggiamo. He couldn't have done it without the system and his diligence. Their compliments made him feel good, though. This feeling of being recognized was much better than when he had been blindly admired or criticized in his previous life. This Ruggiamo is so good. Is there anything else on the menu other than rainbow fried rice? George picked the menu up as he was waiting for his second Ruggiamo and opened it with great expectations. He was a little startled when he found only 2 dishes on it, and the price made him gasp. Yangzhou fried rice, 600 copper coins. Laji Ruggiamo, 300 copper coins. They are so expensive. Harrison smiled. If we were at other places, even 10 gold coins wouldn't buy anything this good. Besides, it can help us lose our weight. It's a bargain at this price. The fatty in red nodded. Yes, even if it's 30 gold coins each. I will definitely have 2 more today, he said, putting down the bag unwillingly. You're always careless with money. This Rigiamo is divine, and you're worrying about its price, the one in cyan asked with surprise. His other friends were all looking at George with a confused look. 300 copper coins is totally worth it. It's so delicious and can help lose weight. Besides, George is in charge of 2 forges himself. He can make at least 200 gold coins a day, and normally, he is always willing to pay for his friends. George waved his hands immediately. It's not that I think it's not worth the price, he explained in embarrassment. It's my wife. She's pregnant and getting paranoid about me having another woman, so she only gives me 3 gold coins every day. I acted like that because I can only afford to eat one today. You always show off your wife. Now it's payback time, the one in cyan said with a gloating smile. I'm curious, though. Do you really have another woman? Harrison asked, teasing him. No need to ask. He is a henpecked husband. He doesn't even dare to look at other women. Having another woman is out of the question, the one in red said with a twist of his mouth, as if he had seen through everything. The fatty in green nodded merrily. How wise of me to have rejected the marriage my father arranged for me the other day. You're just jealous of me having a wife. She gave me 3 sons, and she's pregnant again, George said, smirking, his voice full of love and pride. Then it's probably a boy again, and you like girls, Harrison said as he spread his hands, exposing the harsh truth. Shut up. If it's a boy again, I'll make my 4 sons pick up your daughters and sons. And then you'll know the true despair, George said to Harrison solemnly. Harrison waved his hands in fright. Please don't. You win? It's a girl. It's definitely a girl. Keep your naughty boys away from my future daughter. Then you have to show some sincerity. Lend me 10 gold coins. George held out his hand. Harrison pushed his hand away with a smile. Just eat your fill. I'll pay for your check. We're brothers. Thank you. But I want to order some food to go for my wife. She doesn't have any appetite these days. I'm supposed to stay home with her today. You said there was good stuff here, so I've come to see if there is anything she can eat. I can't let you pay for that. George gave an embarrassed smile, still holding out his hand. You are a hell of a man, George. Your wife is micromanaging you. And you still want to buy her food? Harrison was a little moved. He pulled out a dragon coin from his purse and gave it to his friend. It's nothing. She almost lost her life giving birth to our first kid, George said as he took the coin. I tried to talk her out of having another, but she knew I wanted a daughter. So we had another, and then another. Now the 4th one is still in her belly. I'm lucky to have a wife like her. I deserve to be struck by lightning if I go find another woman. He smiled. When he was done, his friends remained silent for a while. They had known each other for years, so naturally they had known about this. Although they often laughed at him for being a henpecked husband, they all quite respected his wife. Harrison nodded. Then this Rigiamo is not a good choice. If she ate this, the baby might come out today. That would be very bad. Buy some Yangzhou fried rice for her. It's mild and has some nourishing effect. Maybe it's good for the baby too. All right, then I'll buy a plate of Yangzhou fried rice for her. It's the same thing as the rainbow fried rice the little girl said, right? George took a look at Amy, who was sitting behind the counter. Harrison nodded. Yes, but I don't know if you can have it to go, he said, hesitating. Rigiamo is easy to bring along, but it would be strange to walk with a plate of fried rice in hand. Owner, can I have a plate of Yangzhou fried rice to go? George asked as Mag walked out with Rigiamos. To go? Asked Mag in surprise as he put the Rigiamos on the table. Some customers who were in a rush would eat the Rigiamo on the road, but no one had ordered fried rice to go. He had to buy some boxes from the system. George nodded sincerely. My wife is in the 6th month of her pregnancy and doesn't feel like eating these days. My friend said your Yangzhou fried rice is very good, so I'm thinking about bringing some for her. Maybe she'll like it, George said with no certainty. He knew some restaurants didn't offer food to go. He is a good husband, and a good husband deserves to be respected, Mag thought as he looked at George. He asked the system, can pregnant women eat Yangzhou fried rice? The ingredients of Yangzhou fried rice are pollution-free. Anyone can eat it, the system answered calmly. Then it paused a moment. But Laji Rigiamo isn't fit for pregnant women to eat. Mag was relieved. Then make me some to-go boxes. Use the same trademark as the bag. It would be best if you could make the style of the boxes match the bags. Brown should do. Make it so that people can remember it at first glance. Please take me seriously, the system said solemnly. The bag is 5 copper coins each, so I'll give you 10 copper coins for a box, said Mag, paying no mind to the system's complaint. The system paused for a moment before it said, 20. Then, it added, you can make 300 copper coins from selling a plate of Yangzhou fried rice. Subtract 20 copper coins for the box, and you can still make 280 copper coins off it. I will design the box like a top designer and paint the trademark like a top painter, and the materials will be environment-friendly and automatically degradable. The box can be reused many times. 5. Mag retorted airily. System, I'll bet you that he would be happy even if I just let him take the plate, and he would return it washed and dried. Remember, I don't have to use your boxes. And the profit of 300 copper coins off one plate is not much. Add it novel benadet. Okay, deal. 10 copper coins each, the system said hurriedly, grievance and helplessness in its tone. Producing to-go boxes. The first batch will be ready in 5 minutes. Good. Mag was happy with the efficiency of the system. Smiling, he said to George, sure. But you have to pay an extra 20 copper coins for the packing. George thought for a short while. 20 copper coins? All right. I'll have 1 plate of fried rice to go, then. Mine doesn't need to be packed, he said as he nodded. Normally, restaurants wouldn't charge extra for packing. But I've already spent 600 copper coins on it, so another 20 won't make too much difference. Money is no issue as long as it's as tasty as this Rigiamo and my wife likes it. Mag nodded. Please wait a sec. Mag turned to walk towards the kitchen, ignoring the system's shouting. He was much better at making money than he had thought. It was just that he had been lazy in his previous life. George and his friends were eating the second Rigiamo now, enjoying the tasty food and the shaking of their body fat. The shaking fat was unpleasant to the eye and made many new customers watch with fright. The enjoyment and happiness on their faces, though, seemed to have been amplified by their fat mugs. The live commercial of their faces was making the new ones wonder what food was making them act like this. They couldn't help ordering one despite the high price. Many new consumers had stayed because of them. 5 minutes later, the system told Mag the boxes were ready and in place. Mag was cooking Yangzhou fried rice. He looked back and saw a bigger iron box beside the one holding the bags. Inside was a neat pile of brown wooden boxes. After the rice was done, Mag went over to the boxes and picked one up. It was thick as cardboard, but much stronger. There was a layer of clear plastic inside. It looked so fresh and clean and was leak-free. On the box cover were 2 golden words, Mamie Restaurant, below which was a simple drawing of Amy's cute back. In the lower right corner was a small line of words. It was the address of the restaurant. It was simple, yet exquisite. It would have made a nice bowl if it had been thicker. Mag nodded with satisfaction. Good. It matches the restaurant very well. The system's work was of high quality, as always. One such box should be worth a lot more than 10 copper coins. Nonetheless, he was not sorry for the system. It accepted my offer so quickly, so obviously it's still making money. These boxes didn't have the words Yangzhou fried rice on them, so Mag could totally use them for other foods. Mag moved the fried rice from the wok to the box. The colorful fried rice was still very pretty inside the box. 1 Rigiamo and 1 packed Yangzhou fried rice. Please hold it like this, Mag said as he put a Rigiamo and a box of fried rice before George. Thank you. George's eyes lit up when he saw the exquisite wooden box. Other restaurants would usually put the food in a simple jar or something, but this wooden container is like a gift box, just as if it had been made by a skilled craftsman. Such a beautiful box only costs 20 copper coins. Perhaps it costs more than 20 for the owner to make a box like this. George had felt it was a little expensive, but now he felt he was getting the better end of the deal. When my wife sees this beautifully packaged food, she may feel good too. George couldn't wait to take the food home to his wife. Both the Yangzhou fried rice and Rigiamo taste better while hot. And this Rigiamo is not fit for pregnant women, Mag reminded George when he was holding the Rigiamo in one hand and was about to pick up the box with great caution. George nodded. I see. Thank you, Mag. I'll pay for this Yangzhou fried rice and Rigiamo. My friends will pay for the other 2 Rigiamos for me later. He held out the dragon coin to Mag. I'll pay for the rest, Mag, Harrison said. 9 gold coins, Amy said as she walked over to George with ugly duckling in her arms, holding a gold coin. George put the dragon coin on Amy's hand and took the gold one. You're very helpful, little owner. I have a boy. He is of similar age to you. I'll bring him along next time to play with you, he said, smiling. Amy shook her head as she took the dragon coin. I like little sisters, but you don't have any? George's smile froze on his face. He felt wounded suddenly and didn't know what to say. Ha ha. His friends were laughing their butts off. Mag could barely hold back his laughter. Amy told the truth. She prefers to play with girls, only she put it too bluntly. Maybe this time it's going to be a girl. Bye, Mag, little owner, George said as he pulled himself together and regained his confidence. Then he turned to his friends. I'll get going then. I'll treat you guys next time. Just go. But I think you'll have to wait in line to buy food for your wife every day from tomorrow, Harrison said with a smile, waving his hand. The fatty in cyan nodded. Agreed. It would be great if we could eat all kinds of delicious food at home. The one in red sighed as George walked out holding the box carefully. You can't afford to hire a cook like Mag, the one in green sneered. The fatty in red shook his head. No. I mean, if the owner could find someone to deliver the food to our house, I will be willing to pay extra. They're talking about takeaways? Mag stopped when he was about to go to the kitchen. The look on his face became a little strange. Mag smiled, shaking his head. Otaku liked takeaways no matter the world they live in. He used to eat at restaurants, but he had also ordered a takeaway once or twice. He hadn't posted any comment on his takeaway on the microblog in case some people might retaliate. His order had given away where he had lived. Besides, because of the delay caused by delivery, the texture and taste would change. It was not fair to judge a restaurant based on its takeaways. He might have a vicious tongue, but he wouldn't depreciate a restaurant based on stuff like that. After all, he had to eat bad food because of his laziness, and that was why he didn't like takeaways. Moreover, modern takeaways were relying on the instantaneity of information exchange. Customers could order a takeaway over the phone or different apps and make a deal with the restaurant directly. The level of technology wasn't high enough here, so the takeaway business was just a pipe dream for them now. Mag himself had no plan of doing the takeaway business anytime soon. He had to focus on the urgent mission of getting 1,000 customers. But if I have to hire people to deliver food, those out-of-job, desperate nights would be perfect. They have a horse and are familiar with the roads in Chaos City, Mag muttered to himself as he entered the kitchen. The lunch hours were very busy. Mag politely turned down a few customers who were a little late. Rigiamos had been sold out, and he was rather tired. Mag breathed a sigh of relief as he closed the door, sinking into a chair. Father, we've sold 96 Rigiamos and 24 plates of Yangzhou fried rice this noon. That comes to 432 gold coins, Amy said delightedly to Mag, holding ugly duckling in her arms. So much. Mag was taken by surprise. That means we have earned over 200 gold coins this noon. We made more than 100 gold coins during breakfast hours, and the earnings may double during the 4-hour dinner time as long as we have enough Rigiamos. Even more to his surprise, he had 40 new customers more for lunch. He saw the possibility of completing his mission. Now he had got 215 customers. Amy nodded. Yes. Father's rainbow fried rice and Rigiamo are so good. They couldn't resist them. She crouched down to put the kitten on the ground and walked over to Mag. You've been working so hard, Father. Let me pound your back for you, she said quietly. Amy stood on tiptoe to pound Mag's shoulders and back with her small fists. She was too little, so it was not easy for her. She was trying hard to do it well. Mag smiled and lowered his shoulders, enjoying Amy's pounding. Although she was a little mean to others, she was very obedient and caring before him. Apparently, she got her vicious tongue from her father. There was nothing else for him but to forgive her. All right, Amy, I'm feeling much better now. Mag lifted her up, put her on his lap, and pinched her soft, delicate cheeks. The improvement in her diet had put color in her cheeks. She wore clean clothes now, and often washed her body and hair. The brat in shabby linen clothes had completely become a little princess. So, naturally, she would be targeted by many evil-willed men. Mag decided to teach her some basic skills to detect deception in case his cute, innocent daughter was kidnapped. Crosso had come again this noon, but Mag had been busy cooking and serving, and Amy had been collecting money, so he had sat there for over an hour without getting to exchange many words with them. After he had eaten 2 plates of fried rice, he had been asked to leave on account of opening hours again. Of course, Mag had done it on purpose. He was not pleased at all with him wanting to take Amy to that Magus Tower. Besides, Mag had already made it clear that he wouldn't let Amy go there, but the old man was pretty persistent. He should count himself lucky that Mag didn't ban him. Amy, I'll ask you a few questions and tell you something. Think clearly before you answer, and remember my words. Okay, Mag said with a smile as he looked at Amy. Amy nodded meekly. Okay. She stared at Mag curiously. What does father want to say? He seems so serious. If a stranger came up to you and said he would take you to eat something good, how would you reply? Asked Mag as he looked into Amy's eyes. Great, Amy said as she clapped her little hands. Her eyes brightened. Mag didn't know whether he should laugh or cry. He had seen that coming. Good food was irresistible to foodies. Mag straightened his face and shook his head solemnly. No. Remember, Amy, no strangers would take you to eat something good. Besides, who is a better cook than father? Amy nodded. Yes, father cooks the most delicious meals. After she thought for a moment, her eyes lit up. Then I'll ask him to eat in our restaurant. This way he will have to pay for me. Mag lifted an eyebrow. She is quite smart. Who would have thought she would answer like that? Mag felt like praising her. Then he asked if someone wanted to take you to a wonderful place. Amy nodded in delight instantly. Great. The look on her face indicated that she wanted to leave right now. Mag shook his head immediately. No, that's not the right answer. Having to stay at the restaurant almost all day long made Amy yearn to go outside. She was at an active age, so it was important for her to know when someone was deceiving her. Mag gazed at Amy and said solemnly, You can play with other children or teacher Luna, but if a stranger wanted to take you somewhere or show you something fun, you must say no, because father has all the fun stuff. They're all lying to you. Really? Amy asked doubtfully as she looked at Mag. Mag gave a serious nod. Yes. Then he asked in his mind, System, I believe you have toys for kids, right? I'm a god of cookery cultivation system. I don't have toys for kids, the system replied angrily. Then I guess I'll buy some on the street, said Mag bluntly. Well, the system sounded a little hesitant. It paused for a moment. I don't have any right now, but I have a toy production line. What do you need? I can have it made in 5 minutes. Free delivery and reasonable price. I'll have to see the price first, Mag said as his mouth twisted, his voice still calm. Then he smiled at Amy. Would you like a toy, Amy? I can conjure one for you. Amy cocked her head to one side and thought for a while. Then her eyes lit up. I want a little guy who can sing. The first thing that came into Mag's head was Lilliput. System, I don't suppose you traffic in human beings? He asked subconsciously. Trafficking in human beings violates the second rule that the god made for me. I'll be reset and you'll be killed once I do that, the system said seriously, its voice mechanical and without emotion. Take it easy. I was just joking. Make a pretty music box for me then, Mag said quickly. He had wanted a thumbelina or something, but obviously that was out of the question, so he bit back the words. It seems the system has to follow rules too. That reminded Mag of the 3 laws of robotics. It was not a bad thing. It meant the system would still be under control and wouldn't cause any trouble even if it gained self-awareness. Mag was already thinking about how to trick the system into telling him those rules. Taking advantage of the system was so much fun for him. Now he was not confident of beating a normal human, let alone an orc or a demon. To be sure, he could totally hide behind Amy, but he wasn't very proud of it. A father should be able to shoulder all the hardships for his children. That was why he was trying hard to make money to buy strength. When he was capable of picking up his sword again, he could deal with almost anything that got thrown at him with the swordsmanship in his head. After all, Mag Alex had slaughtered dragons. He and his sword had feared no one. It wouldn't hurt if I could procure something from the system to protect us while I improve my strength. I would feel safer, Mag thought. I have 500 different types of music boxes for you to choose from. Prices vary from 50 copper coins to 500 gold coins. The system now sounded like a seasoned businessman. Mag looked through the music boxes that had appeared in his head. The one that was priced at 500 gold coins was made of pure gold, and inside it stood a golden little man. Too extravagant. Amy won't like this one. Added novel banat. He looked down, and one that was priced at 50 gold coins caught his eye. It was a brown wooden box with a hemispherical glass cover inside, which was a blonde elf girl in a purple dress. She was playing on a violin. It was very well made. From the look of it, it should be able to simulate snowing, as there was a layer of white particles on the ground. It could play 50 songs, and the price was relatively reasonable. I want that 50 gold coins one with a violin girl in it. Make that one for me, Mag said. You'll pay 50 gold coins for that one? The system asked, incredulous. After all, Mag had haggled with it over the price of to-go boxes for a long time, but now he didn't even think twice before spending 50 gold coins on a music box. Mag knew what the system was thinking. Of course, I'm willing to pay anything for Amy. Then he added, I want to see it in 5 minutes or I'll demand a refund. Making the music box. It will be ready in 5 minutes. The money has been deducted automatically, answered the system quickly. Mag had done all that in his head. He was a man of action, so it had only taken him a minute to make this deal with the system. Amy thought her father was considering her request, so she reckoned she was asking too much. Father, I don't need a singing little man. I love anything from you, she said quietly, shaking her head. Her thoughtfulness made Mag want her to be a little stubborn sometimes and made his heart ache. He shook his head with a smile. But father wants to give you a singing little man, a very pretty singer. Just wait a little longer. This magic needs time to work. Really? Amy's eyes brightened, and she became expectant immediately. It must be a very fun toy. She had no doubts about her father's words. He had said he would conjure up a beautiful house for her, and now she had a pretty restaurant. He had said he would give her pretty dresses, and now she could wear them every day. Her father had delivered on all his promises. Mag nodded. Then, he said solemnly, while we're waiting, I have one last question for you. If a kid said he liked you, what would you say? Perhaps every father who had a daughter wanted to know the answer to that question. Nobody liked the idea of their daughter marrying some punk. Although Amy was only 4, it was never too early for her to know this stuff. He would protect her from those boys until she grew up and developed an integrated worldview and could tell right from wrong. That was one of the reasons why he wanted to regain his strength. Those boys had to think twice before making him a dragon slayer, their father-in-law. They had to consider if they were able to stand a blow from his heavy sword. I don't like those brats, Amy said as she crossed her arms like a grown-up. Then she looked up at Mag, and her sweet smile returned. I'll marry father when I grow up, she said cheerfully and seriously. Father has magic powers, can cook tasty food, and always tell me stories. Father is the best. There is no one better in the world. Mag nodded in contentment. No answer could be more reassuring right now. She had no idea what marriage was, so he was happy that she was relying on him. When she grew up, if some punk wanted to get anywhere near her, he would teach him a lesson. It was his responsibility. But right now, it was too early for him to think about his son-in-law. Now Mag felt so much relieved. He didn't know how to raise a kid, so he had to deal with the problems when they arose. One other thing, call me Dad instead of Father. You can call me Father in formal settings. Normally, just call me Dad, Mag said after he thought for a moment. To Amy, Mag was the most important reliance, her only reliance. He would weather any storm for her, so she addressed him formally to show her respect. However, there was a touch of distance in that address. He had long since felt that way. Only Amy had been a little abasing herself, so he hadn't brought that up to trouble her more until now. Now she was pretty confident for her age, so he took this opportunity and brought it up. Actually, Mag preferred Amy to call him Papa, but people didn't say the word Papa in this world. He didn't want to inconvenience Amy, and had to settle for Dad. Dad! Amy gazed at Mag a little confused. She had been looking at her father as the most incredible man who could do anything, so she addressed him Father. She hoped her father would love her and protect her forever. Now it seemed her father didn't like her calling him father. Dad does seem more intimate. Amy wrestled with herself for a while. Then she looked at Mag and nodded. Okay, father, it's all right. You'll get used to it later. Mag smiled and stroked Amy's hair. Obviously, it was impossible for her to adapt to the change right away, but the change was going to occur slowly, yet surely. He wanted to be more intimate with his little girl and become somebody she could completely trust and rely on. The music box is ready. It took 4 minutes and 30 seconds, the system said. It's in the second compartment in the counter right now. I offer a free packaging service. Do you need it? Of course, Mag answered without thinking. Unwrapping the package was a lot of fun, and a good gift could be made better by a decent package. More importantly, it was free. This stingy system was giving a service for free. That was a first. Amy, if you remember my words, I'll give you a gift, Mag said, smiling. Amy's eyes brightened. Is it a singing little man? Mag nodded. Yes. It was not a living man, but it was definitely unique in this world. She said happily. Amy will remember it all fast. She realized what she had just said and stopped suddenly. Meow. Ugly Duckling had been padding around the chair while they were speaking. It crouched on the floor and looked up at them, wounded by them ignoring it. Amy hopped down from Mag's lap and crouched to lift the kitten up. Be good, Ugly Duckling. Father will give us a singing little man, she said, stroking its head. Meow meows. The little kitten really enjoyed Amy's stroking. It stared at Mag curiously as if it, too, was interested in the toy. After the system said the packaging was finished, Mag rose to walk towards the counter. There, in the second compartment, stood a gift box wrapped in purple paper, with a big bow on the outside. It was very girlish. He liked it. Amy and her kitten looked at Mag with excitement, wondering what the singing little man would look like. Mag took the box out. It was fairly heavy. He turned to show it to Amy. Wow, it's very pretty. Father, the singing little man is inside the box. Amy asked as she walked over to her father, her eyes shining. Open it and you'll see. It's my gift for you, Mag said with a smile. He put the box on the counter and didn't mind that she addressed him father again in excitement. Thank you, Dad. Amy climbed up the long-legged chair and put her cat gently on the counter. She stared at the gift box for a while and looked up at Mag. Dad, this box is so beautiful, I don't want to break it. Mag smiled. He had never thought that Amy would be in a predicament because of this pretty gift box. He stroked her head. It is beautiful, but it's just a box for containing the singing little man. It's waiting to become your friend. Amy's look became determined instantly. It must be very frightened. Okay, I'll save it right now. Then she said to the box apologetically, Sorry, little box. I have to tear you open to save the singing little man. Under Mag's guidance, Amy removed the packaging paper and lifted the cover carefully. Finally, she saw the music box. The base was made of solid wood, brown and classic, with 2 beautiful Chinese redbuds carved on it. On top of the base was a hemispherical glass cover, in the middle of which stood a blonde elf about 10 centimeters tall. She had long eyelashes and vivid eyes and seemed lifelike. Every string on the violin was distinguishable. A layer of small white balls was lying on the ground to simulate snow. It was exquisite and totally worth 5,000 copper coins. Wow, such a beautiful little elf. Her blue eyes went wide and were shining in excitement. Meow, meow. Ugly Duckling crawled closer and tilted its head to one side to look at the elf, its eyes filled with curiosity. It raised a paw and attempted to touch it, but then caught sight of Amy and stopped, looking cute and amusing. Amy watched for a while. But, Father, can she really sing? She asked as she turned to look at Mag.